Hello, it's me, Tim, from Tim and Jordan on Wrestling. Tim and Jordan on Wrestling, I should say. And here I am back again with another video. This time I am doing WCPW for the 17th of September 2016 edition of Loaded here on YouTube. And let's get into this episode. Again, it was a pretty short episode, to be honest, but it was a pretty fun episode. So let's get started at the start. From Connor says, Joseph Connor says that Kendry can't take the title away from him before taking his title. Then again, he takes out Joe Hendry and basically plays his music. Really nice music. Actually, Joseph Connors, in fairness, has very nice music, and it's sort of like this heavy, not heavy metal, but like kind of metal vibe to it, rock vibe. It's really nice. You should listen to it. Actually, it's pretty good. Anyway, meanwhile, Martin Kirby says that he should get a title match, talking to Eric Bischoff and the smiling, smirking Atom Bachiti. Anyway, Bischoff decides to pit him against several men, 4 men in fact, in a fatal five-way match, I should say, on the show, the first ever 5-way WCPW match. So, our first match of the night is Travis Banks versus Pete Dunne versus Marty Scurll versus Will Ospreay versus Martin Kirby. The match starts off with 2 double tombstones. Of course, on the show, the kind of theme of the show is pile drivers. Pile drivers are legal in the main event, and also people decide to do a lot of pile drivers throughout the match. So, 2 double pile drivers by Dunne and Scurll, and again throughout the match we saw a lot of little things by Martin Kirby. Martin Kirby was a bit shall I say, a bit rusty in this one. Again, did make a few mistakes here and there, you know, him just trying to, again, get into this match. He did kind of, again, not at his best at the start of the match, but again, he was trying to stay in it. Marty Scurll was very impressive. Pete Dunne is actually quite impressive. Again, they were very good in this match. And, of course, Will Ospreay did take over with some kicks and, of course, powerful maneuvers. He did try for his, of course, his, finishing move. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he did try it. Didn't happen to get it. But again, pretty impressive. Throughout the match, we saw pretty crazy stuff. We saw Dunne and Scurll clothesline each other and have this big spot where they just like sort of bang bang close each other, and they can't even knock each other over. Then of course, we see, you know, Marty Scurll taken down by Pete Dunne, and then Pete Dunne taken down by your friend Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay just bang bang evading all the traffic and then taking everybody else down. But unfortunately, he couldn't quite take down Martin Kirby. Martin Kirby actually ended up finishing off, I think, Will Ospreay, but I'm not sure, Will Ospreay with the powerbomb and winning the match. So that was very impressive. Again, Martin Kirby getting this nice stretchy push from the company. Obviously, the story is that Bachiti is kind of very cynical about him, but again, at this point, you know, he's pretty much up for a title shot. He's kind of like the ultimate underdog, really. Kind of reminds me of Heath Slater in a way, because, you know, in the past he was looked down upon as just a hideous wrestler, but now he's just got a new face of relevance on him, and so he's just very interesting and intriguing to find out where he's going to go next. Yes, very much so. So I'm excited about him, and I can't wait for the possibilities. Of course, possibly a title match. I would say definitely a good contender, at least for the mid-card title, which we know is held from El Ligero versus, or sorry, not El Ligero, I don't know who it is, but El Ligero versus, I believe, your man Jay Lethal. But again, that could be a cool contest. Maybe Jay Lethal versus, or El Ligero versus Martin Kirby in an ultimate rematch for that mid-card title. Again, very excited to see what it takes us. But again, I think he might be slotted, just have a feeling he'll be slotted into the main event with Joseph Connors. So moving on, we get our women's mashup as we'll go behind the scenes as Bea Priestley is talking to her new friend Alex Winder, and she introduces her to the audience. Of course, she says that she's going to be the new dominant wrestler, and the reason that Bea Priestley unfortunately lost against Nixon Newell was due to her not being there. So she says that she will arrive soon, and she will take over tonight, taking on Nixon Newell in a tag team match, I believe. So our second match of the night is Moose versus Drew Galloway. Moose, very nice song. And of course, the match starts off an AA by Galloway. Galloway getting pretty good so far at the start. Pile driver by Drew Galloway again. And obviously, lovely pile drivers here. A spear by Moose. After this, a future shock DDT by Galloway. And Galloway wins the match. Pretty convincingly as well. It did take a little bit outside the ring, but overall, Galloway is very convincing again. The overall finisher, I know he's had this for years. It's a unique finisher, but I'm not like the biggest fan of the future shock DDT. It looks a bit awkward sometimes. But this was a pretty alright match. Again, a good way to build up. Obviously, a kind of nice like interim match here to build up to the main event. Of course, I always think that Drew Galloway is a very strong wrestler. Again, this is his second win. So, you know, he must be going places if he's gotten 2 wins in a row, of course. So I hope for the best for him. And yeah, pretty much Drew Galloway probably competing against possibly Joe Hendry. Yeah, I'm thinking big for him. Thinking big. Or Joseph Connors. Because you want to think that they're putting him against one of those contenders in a title match. Because he's already kind of cemented himself here. So, I mean, there's places he could go from here. Anyways, moving on. Our third match of the night is Alex Windsor versus, I think it was Bea Priestley versus Mrs. Roxy and Nixon Newell. So the two faces versus the two heels. And a little bit of interesting factoid before we get into the match. Of course, Alex Windsor trained with Bea Priestley in, I think it was Paige's school or something like that. Or no, Paige's friend's school. And also, one other thing, because I believe Will Ospreay is married to Bea Priestley. I think that's another thing. So I don't know. I heard this from Jordan, so I'm not quite sure if it's legitimate, but I'm pretty sure it is. So yeah, I wouldn't defy him. So yeah. Anyways, the match starts off. Actually, the match ends because I didn't see this match really, but yeah, I know it was a pretty good match, to be honest. Pretty fluid. It ended with Alex Windsor locks in the sharpshooter, very convincing sort of modified look of sharpshooter here on I think it was on Mrs. Roxy to win the match. Post match, when Windsor and Priestley beat up Mrs. Roxy and Nixon Newell, and they kind of wrap her up on the ropes, and they also just beat her up, and then they kind of throw them at the ring and just have a wreaking havoc. It's very convincing. You know, they're kind of this big stable, kind of forming this sort of stable, very familiar because they're kind of like friends with each other. So it's kind of like Prospect as in like they're a stable that's kind of like very familiar with each other, so they know each other very well. They've got the same craft, so they're a very convincing team, to be honest. So I like that aspect of that sort of familiar aspect of it, and I can see them going places. So of course this is definitely time for a rematch, of course, between Bea Priestley and Nixon Newell. All the more reason to have this rematch probably at the next live event. So again, it's going to be an interesting time. I think if they go for a rematch, heavily touted, I would say Bea Priestley overall will get the win. I mean, she was a very convincing performance today, so yeah, we could be seeing that. But yeah, I definitely would be surprised if Bea Priestley doesn't win, because she has a lot of heat around her, and she's just a very endearing wrestler, to be honest. As a heel, she's very good, so I'm very impressed by her. Moving on, before the main event, we have a moment of Jack the Jobber being more cringy, as he, apologizes or says something to Primate, not Primate, Susie, I think. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. And then Primate came along and attacked him. It was just a weird promo. Next up, though, Rampage kills Prospect. Yay! So again, that's our main event. Big up. So in the main event, it's Big Demo versus Rampage in a no DQ match. Just a pre on this match. Yeah, so they announced that there was going to be no DQ and also polygraph was allowed before the show. So when they came to announce it in the match, it was not surprising. Again, this is sort of a problem they have. They always WCPW. They never drop the ball when they need to. So they kind of just announce everything before the show, and it's kind of anticlimactic. So stop doing that. It's kind of annoying. So again, I hate when they do that, but they continue to do it. So I don't know. Anyways, though. The match starts off. Rampage tries to interfere, but cannot. Big Damo does a big roll on Rampage through the turnbuckle, and the match kind of continues outside. Damo gets pretty much dominant early on, and he knocks him outside. Rampage is pretty much dead at this point. Back inside the ring, Rampage hits a great big suplex on the ramp, and literally decimates Rampage. After avoiding a low blow, Rampage tries to get a pile driver outside but cannot. Big Demo cleverly avoids it. Back inside the ring, Rampage hits a pile driver and suplex to win, and that was crazy because he kind of just evaded death and went back. He himself actually avoided a pile driver, a very crazy spot, because you think about this, Rampage. Big Demo has been a guy who's been bigged up as just the best thing. So when he hit the pile driver on Rampage in the ring, you thought it was all over because that's usually a move that ends everything, and even to the shock of Blampied, to shock out everybody, Rampage got out. So it was a crazy moment. Yeah, maybe just a bit too strong, to be honest. I would have liked it if they hadn't. Maybe he had avoided the pile driver, but it seemed a bit like it's sort of crazy the way they build it as moves that it's unbreakable, unbeatable. The pile driver, and then suddenly someone just avoids it and gets out of it. Kind of crazy, but anyways, Rampage won the match, so I'm pretty happy with the result, to be honest. And of course the reaction, because Blampied is trying to evade Rampage after the match. Rampage then repulsing him back with a sack of potatoes and just like not even touching him, but just looking at him, and you could just see his face. He was just like, "You're nothing," to be honest. So yeah, very entertaining match. A bit short on the short side again. So the actual show went very short. It ended up going like 1 hour 20 minutes, I think. So it was quite short match show in general. But overall, yeah, it was fun, and I would say it kind of needed another extra match. But yeah, again, kind of like what I said, like an interim show. I mean, it's kind of building up bigger things to come. And yeah, I do think there's a good places to go. Again, you're going to be seeing a nice big live event with the new mid-card being revealed. Also, that will kind of set up a few major kind of mid-card storylines that going on. You kind of already do have the setting foundations. Again, I do think that Martin Kirby is a good opportunity to get his Razak another bit of revenge on El Ligero, because that's obviously a long-running storyline. But again, he does have things with Jay Lethal, so we'll see. I think El Ligero will beat Jay Lethal at the end, though. And then that will end up being Martin Kirby versus El Ligero soon after, but that's obviously way into the future. I do think that B. Priestley will beat Nick Newell eventually. Slight bit of help from Alex Windsor, I think. I can't remember. I'm not quite certain on her name, but yeah, I think she will be a nice factor there. Prospect are dead in the show. It was crazy. I didn't bring that up, but Prospect got taken out. Very clever move by Rampage, disposing of Prospect. So yeah, again, this has kind of weakened Blampied kind of a bit. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. He hasn't really done much since Prospect were thrown out. He's kind of just been a bit weak since. So I don't know. He's be a bit more power put towards him, because again, he's kind of just hasn't been performing as of late, in inverted commas there. So we'll see. Pacitti has all the power at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, maybe a conversation between the two, or maybe just a confrontation, something like that. Yeah, overall, great show. I'm not going to say... No, sorry, nothing special. It wasn't a great show, really, to be honest. underwhelming finish, to be honest. The main event was good. Wasn't what I expected, but honestly the results were good. Just maybe some of the ways that I went about it was a bit powerful. I don't know. Anyways, that's the show, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below, share below, and favorite, and you can support me. Also subscribe to this channel. We're uploading obviously like 4 videos a week, so that's pretty impressive. See you all next time, and bye.